This is Bill Hunt coming to you from the SES channel. We're just finishing up with the morning keynote on Wednesday, talking about attribution and how to give credit where credit is due. With me here is Mikel Chertudi from Omniture. He was one of the panelists talking about how companies can get more out of this process. Mikel, we had some really interesting discussion today in the panel, and a couple things that came out of it was first click, middle click, last click, some click. I'd like you to take a moment, first introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and then let's look at that idea of what people should track, what type of click and why it's important to track one over the other.
Great. So at Omniture and in previous lives, former to Omniture, this has been a big issue that I've dealt with. And a lot of companies and marketers aren't even aware of the fact, especially search marketers, aren't aware of the fact that they are getting credit oftentimes for sales and orders and costs when they don't understand the attribution settings of their analytics packages, for example, or of their tracking packages. And so what happens is a lot of the time double counting happens or over crediting happens of the source, whether that's SEO or paid search or display or offline channels such as TV or print. And what happens is many advertisers need to be aware of the fact of that their settings on a first click basis, if they have a display ad and a user clicks on that, and then they click secondly on an email, and then lastly they click in paid search, and their cookie settings are set to last credit, paid search takes the credit for that sale without attributing proper attribution for the display ad or for the email. And so it's important. One of the things that we took away and we gave a tip on was that marketers should really be measuring all three of those views. They should be measuring what first touched those users, what was in the middle, and then lastly, what drove the purchase or the lead just prior to that taking place. Which campaign was it? Which keyword was it?
And one of the things that we found was that a lot of people's analytics tool and their Salesforce management tools and their lead generation tools are often overwriting the lead. So for example, somebody came in from search or came in from a banner ad, came to the website, ultimately engaged with something like a live person or some other lead gen system. That source overwrites the original source. So we often will say, well, search did a lot for you, but there's no attribution. Is that something you're seeing, and is it something people should definitely take a look at?
Absolutely. Most companies that have CRM implementations aren't even aware of the fact that that is being overridden. So if they're driving lots of traffic through search engine optimization or paid search or whatever keyword or display channel it is, when it comes into the site promotions of downloading a white paper or downloading a software trial are overriding and erasing the costs and the source of SEO, for example. And then once they get them into the database, and a salesperson, as you mentioned, Bill, says, well, I think it was the trade show campaign. And there wasn't even a trade show involved, yet it's subjective because the salesperson is just saying what they thought was best there. And if a salesperson has to pick from a 500 campaigns, sometimes they just do it with getting through the system so they can go on to create the opportunity. And so it's not accurate at all. So the important thing to note is that make sure your system is configured, and most of them aren't, but you have to do some customization. And there are companies out there that can help you do that customization so you can track individual objectives all the way through. So you can track what got them to your site, what converted them on your site, and once you start to remarket to them, what's working effectively without overriding or out erasing those different attributions, as well as once they go into your database in a B2B scenario, make sure that you're measuring all of those sources and not erasing them and trumping them with the default CRM settings.
Okay, so basically to recap, what we found is that, you've got to understand, do the basics, understand what you're tracking, understand what's possible to track, and then start giving some level of attribution to it. So I think this was a great session, and I think there's a lot of key information. Make sure you go to the website, download the presentation, head over to the Omniture website. They've got a great white paper on this attribution, and take a look at some of the other speakers about this topic. Thank you.